पिछली वीडियोस में हमने मेंस का और प्रीलिम्स का एग्जाम पैटर्न समझा, ऐसे पेपर, लैंग्वेज पेपर का सिलेबस समझा, GS-1, GS-2, GS-3 का क्लियर हो गया। इस वीडियो में GS-4 का सिलेबस देखते हैं। GS-4 में ये ही सिलेबस है टोटल। दिस इज टेकन फ्रॉम द ऑफिशियल सिलेबस notification gazette by the UPSC. There are three parts of the GS-4. Usually people call it as an ethics exam, but ethics is just one part of it. Then you have aptitude, then you have integrity. Ethics plus aptitude plus integrity. This is your syllabus. This is a guideline before the syllabus is actually given in the document by the government. What they're saying is that this syllabus is not very specific to a book or a material. It is a more generic paper, but it doesn't mean you don't have to study it. इसको समझना भी जरूरी है। हर एक टर्म को जैसे जो सेम पैटर्न था उस तरह से समझना है, हर एक का वेटेज समझना है, एग्जाम का स्ट्रक्चर समझना है। तो this paper will include questions to test the candidate's attitude and approach to issues related to integrity, probability, etc. In dealing with society, questions may utilize case study approach. This is the important section. Why? Because there is no other GS paper where we have case studies. In GS4, on average, you will have 8 to 9 normal questions, which will have some further subbits. Then you'll have around 5 to 6 case studies where it's an application of your ethics, aptitude, and integrity. All right, that's fine. This is the thing to note. There are two types of questions here, a normal question and a case study question. This is what they're trying to say in the first header of the syllabus. But this is your main syllabus here. अब आगे बढ़ेंगे, इसकी सेम तरह से वेटेज देखते हैं सेक्शंस की, इसके क्या सोर्सेज हो सकते हैं वो समझेंगे, और कैसे हर एक वर्ड पे फोकस करना है वो क्लियर करेंगे. In future, definitely, when I'm studying these different topics, we'll make a video on each of them as my own revision and also as giving back to the community to help them understand. Now, I see a lot of places where people make their own syllabus as PPT presentations, or they will make videos which are just somebody talking in front of a screen. I don't want to make those kind of videos for the actual content. For syllabus, this is fine. This is the best way to do it, making it colorful and and interesting, and making it one pager thing that is concise and exhaustive. So you don't have to scroll through a lot of pages to see the whole syllabus. This is it. This is the whole syllabus. That's fine. But for the actual videos, when you talk about probability and governance, I would like to show some real videos, some clips, some text images, etc., some tables, some good flow diagrams as well, so that this topic becomes interesting to understand. It's not just bunch of text thrown at you. No, and that won't help me as well in remembering this subject or to actually understand it. Fine, this is all good. Let's go on to the sectional section weightages. Erase this bit. All right. So we'll have two sections here. We'll have questions, we'll have case studies. And this is just your header. Starting with ethics, we have first just the basics of ethics and human interface. This comes to around 19%. So 12 questions were asked in the past 7 years. And this is also surprisingly 19%. So you can expect 20% of the exam paper to be based on just ethics and human interface, the basics of it. Then the second part you have is attitude. So here is how you respond to things. What's your ethical response? So this was your values, and this is in values in action. So this is static, this is in action. Right? This is 11% for questions, 24% for case studies. So which makes sense, right? Everything is very logical in the UPSC exam. I keep telling this again and again. If you understand the structure of the exam pattern, if you understand the syllabus, things are so simple. So if you study something as a concept, they'll ask you in questions and you'll apply it in case studies. But if you have to study something which has to be applied, it is less in questions and more in case studies. So simple. Let's next go to the aptitude section. Yeah, foundational values for civil services. This is very important because it's a civil services exam, right? So this is around 11% and this is 19%. Again, application is more. Let's go to emotional intelligence. It's a separate topic from all the others, but again, very important. It's also very important in your normal life to be emotionally intelligent. Vikas Devakirti sir has a good video on this. It is in Hindi, but you can more or less understand. So हिंदी और इंग्लिश एक साथ लेके चलेंगे. ये हो गया आपका यहाँ पे 8% और ये एप्लीकेशन में है सिर्फ 2%. See, it's difficult to ask emotional intelligence question in application because you applied in a day-to-day life. You can't really talk about it. But that's why it's more on questions and less on the case studies. Then contributions of moral philosophers, moral thinkers and philosophers from Indian world. Now guess how much is the case study here? This I'll tell you, this is 11% is asked as theoretical questions. We're talking about philosophy here. It is theory. By definition, philosophy is theory. There is no case study section for this. Then finally, let's go to the public integrity section, which is here entirely about public services. So you have public service values and ethics, and then you have probity. Now, probity is a different topic than ethics and aptitude. When we discuss this further, we'll cover it. It is around honesty, being ethical, but also about morality. But the differences will come more apparent when we actually study it. Probity is also about professionalism and how you act or how to go through your service. But for now, that's not our focus. We are just trying to understand the weightages. This is 22, 24, 17 for case studies, 19 for case studies. So pretty even split here. You don't see a lot of difference. But again, you can see clearly this is the major part. 40. So if I see a question splits, let's just take some averages here. We'll make this 19, we'll make this 18, make this 15, 6, 5. We can make this around 20 and 20. So this is your 40% is your integrity, and 11 and 26% is your aptitude, and 37% is your ethics. In total, it comes out to be 50, 63, 103. I'm overshooting it, but this comes to around 60. So integrity is 40%, this is around 60%, then it's more on this side, let's say 35 here and 25 here. So these are just rounding numbers, as again I keep telling. We're dividing by 7, here we're dividing by 7 as well. The split is pretty even. This is based on the past 7 years of exam questions from 2016 to 2022. I went through each and every question, read through the syllabus, categorized it, went through the answers, so I could analyze this and come up with the strategy on how to proceed. Now, section weightage is complete. Let's talk about the sources for this. Now, the sources for ethics paper are tricky. There are some IAS officers, ex-aspirants who have written books. There are some reports, some by OECD, some by UN, some by the Indian government, all right, especially in the second ARC. And then there's some psychology books you can get from NCRT, and there's some online websites which explain these terms. Unfortunately, as in history, there is no one source which can cover it all. We will have to dive down into each of the topics and then hunt for better sources. Ultimately, your previous year questions will be your guiding light, right? And that will decide your source plus your depth. We'll keep it to this for now. This is just an overview of the sources. It's difficult to just mention the source here because it's not laid out in a structured approach as per any book or any manual. This is catered for this particular UPSC exam, so we'll have to make a potluck, like a buffet of sources to read these topics. When we do that, I will be sure to make the video on them. For now, another thing to say is this is not in prelims. There is no dark section here. All of it is dark purple. So it is just part of the mains exam. So ethics is something that you study exclusively for mains, but it is something that you can study along with your other subjects and over time build your concepts of ethics, aptitude, and integrity. Might look simple on the surface. You should definitely check out some case studies that are asked and some of their model answers. It will show you the depths that you can go into the answers, the way you have to structure it, the way you have to build the stakeholders, the way you have to build the possible options, and then what should be the order of application, and how you have to keep an hierarchy within yourself between your different moral values, right? So if you are in a case study where you have your integrity on one side and you have your objectivity on the other, and one choice or other has to be made and you can't have both, then which one do you place above the other? They will reflect your values. So they're not going to be simple questions to explain what you mean by empathy. No, they will put your empathy to test against your other values and against unethical things as well, how you behave in both of those situations. All right, I think this is it for this video. In the next video, we'll cover the optionals. Not a lot to say there, but we'll see for that video.